Hello and welcome to another beautiful edition of Political Roundup on VOP TV. My name is Jerry Akpabio. On the Political Roundup, not to participate in all the activities of the 10th Senate. The Senate also resolved that if Senator Ningi writes to apologize during the period, he shall be recalled to resume his legislative duties. The resolution of the Senate today was sequel to a motion by the chairman Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Olamilekan Adeola of the APC, Ogun West, on the allegations raised by Ningi of 3 trillion naira budget padding and the 28.7 trillion naira 2024 Appropriation Act, and that the budget passed by the National Assembly for 2024 fiscal year is 25 trillion naira, while the one being implemented by the presidency is 28.7 trillion. Earlier, Senator Jimo Ibrahim of the APC Ondo South, in an additional prayer, had asked the Senate to suspend Ningi for an initial period of 12 months, which is equivalent to a year. In the same vein, the Nigerian Senate has suspended Senator Abdul Ningi for 3 months over allegations of budget padding. Ningi, chairman of the Senate Committee on Population, had alleged that the leadership of the Senate padded the 2024 budget by 3.7 trillion naira. Earlier today, the Senate was thrown into a rowdy session over the allegation. You will recall that Ningi, a People's Democratic Party member representing Bauchi Central, last week raised the alarm that the Senate President Godswill Akpabio and the presidency padded the budget currently being implemented against the budget passed by the chambers. The allegation had generated public outrage. Moving on, there are reports that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ex-Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari, and Senator Abdul Ningi have initiated a move to form a mega party ahead of the 2027 general elections. You recall that Atiku, who was the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in 2023, lost the election to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yari also lost his bid to become the Senate President to Godswill Akpabio, who was preferred by Tinubu. According to sources, Atiku has set in motion the machinery for the proposed mega party in collaboration with some members of the National Assembly. All this and more we will discuss right after this break. Do stay with us.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State, and of course, a member of the Appropriation Committee of the Senate. Mr. President of the Oseni, let me concur that about 80% of the translation read out by Senator Gai. I think they have done a fair job, except on some issues that they could not understand. First, I have never said somebody was blinded. Secondly, I have never said the budget was hided. Mr. Chairman, the beginning of this brouhaha started with this text, and by the leave I will read. For the first time in Nigerian history today, we are operating.
Welcome back. Let's now go into the main conversation. To begin today's program, the Senate has suspended the senator representing Bauchi Central Senatorial District Abdul Ningi for 3 months for alleging that the 2024 budget was padded with 3 trillion naira. The chamber also resolved that if Mr. Ningi could send an apology letter, the leadership of the Senate will thereafter decide whether to lift the suspension or not. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced the suspension of Mr. Ningi after it was supported by a majority of senators during deliberation at the Committee of a Whole. The resolution of the upper chamber was sequel to a point of order raised by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Adeola Olamilekon, during the plenary. Mr. Ningi, the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum, recently told the BBC Hausa that the lawmakers saw the service of a private auditor and discovered irregularities in the budget. Well, now joining me to discuss these issues, I have here today Mr. Peter Anosike, a development economist, best-selling author, and national analyst. Also joining us virtually is Nick Agule, chartered accountant and public affairs analyst, joining us virtually. I want to say, first of all, good evening to our guest in the studio, Mr. Peter Anosike. Great to have you on the show this evening.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right, and of course, to our virtual guest, Nick Agule. Great to have you on Political Roundup on VOP this evening.
Thank you very much, and good evening to our viewers.
All right, quickly, let's dive into the discourse. We'll start with you, Nick. Taking a look at the way and manner, talking about Ningi's situation has gone so far so good, leading on to his 3-month suspension. What do you make of this whole drama about budget padding as alleged by Ningi?
Thank you very much for that question. I have a couple of things to say about this. The first one is that it's actually very distressing and painful to watch events unfold in Nigeria, because the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is made up of 109 men and women who are representing the over 200 million Nigerians. So whatever happens to a Nigerian, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, there's a senator in that chamber that is representing them. And in the recent days, in the past days, we have been having serious security issues in Nigeria. We have school children who have been adopted in the Chibok girls style in Kaduna and Borno states. We have had people killed in Plateau State, Benue State, and other states in Nigeria. Nigerians are facing a cost of living crisis, whereby cost of transportation, cost of food items, cost of petrol, everything has skyrocketed and people's incomes have remained the same. And we have an executive arm of government that has been making promises to workers which are not being fulfilled. And people are basically finding it very difficult to even feed their families. These 109 men and women have watched this event happen without a single word, nothing. They didn't hold any emergency session to address what is happening to Nigerians. But then one of them exercises his right to free speech, makes a statement, and instantly, we hear the roar of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A session is held where they are the prosecutors and they are the judge, and they quickly try and sentence their member and executed the sentence immediately by sending him out of the chambers. And I'm wondering, if the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria can be this swift, can be this responsive to an issue that has happened, why is this Senate not looking at the killings in Nigeria, the adoption of school children, the insecurity all over the place, the farmers who have been driven away from their farms, and the cost of living crisis that Nigerians are dealing with? And the Senate, they go to their chambers every day and they go back to their homes without saying anything. So for me, that's very painful, absolutely very painful to hear that. And then secondly, um, a democracy works better if the freedom of expression is respected. There are some people who can say something, and if it is found out that what they have said is not correct, there is a way it can be addressed. But the way the Senate has carried on is as if they are trying to muzzle the speech, they are trying to teach their member a lesson, and this is going to be discouraging to other senators to start speaking. Then thirdly, even during that session, where the senators were bringing the sledgehammer on top of one of their members' heads, another senator from Cross River North, I think Senator Jarigwe, he raised a matter that there are senators in that chambers who have been given 500 million naira each, and that he didn't get. This is another senator making this kind of allegation against their members in the open. It's not as if this is something happening behind closed doors. And I can tell you on authority, I can tell you as a matter of fact, if the Senate likes, they could probably just sue me so that this thing can be proven in court that in the budget, in every federal government budget, including this 2024 or 28.7 trillion, the senators have their budget line items in that budget. I'm saying this thing on good record. That in that budget, there are line items that were inserted by the senators. The ministry, department, or agency of government in whose budget those line items have been inserted by senators is not responsible for the execution of those line items. All right. When the time comes to execute those line items, it is the senators that send the contractors who will come, and they are funded, and they go ahead and execute those projects. I mean, ask yourself, the person who is supposed to have oversight function over a ministry, department, or agency of government is the one who is now the executor of the project, who then is going to have that oversight. If that project is not executed or is not executed according to the plan in the budget, who has powers to raise any voice and say this thing happened? I can assure you that some of the times that we see, if not most of the times, that we hear that the Senate of Nigeria has gone an oversight function, they have locked up this institution, they have summoned this director general or minister and all of that. These are all squabbles arising from perhaps an MDA not doing the bidding of the senators by executing those, allowing the senators to execute those line items. So this Senate cannot stand aloof and claim probity. You can't go to equity with such unclean hands. All right. And this is my views on this situation.
All right, Mr. Nick, you really hammered on very interesting issues there. And of course, talking about the issue of budget padding, and there's been some confrontation from the Northern Senators Forum on the Senate President, accusing him of inserting project worth 4 trillion naira in the 2024 budget. It means that you've just made mention of the fact that it looks like they are in a hurry to persecute one of their members. And what does this mean if the Northern Senators Forum have confronted the Senate President and it looks like there's a winch hunt on the chairman of that forum? Are we saying that the Senate President is culpable in all of this budget padding?
Well, for me, I want to say that Nigerians are being deceived. The senators are deceiving Nigerians. What is happening in the Senate at this moment is a game. They just want to cover up what is happening. One, it was Andy Ndume that first mentioned that the senators from the North will hire auditors to examine the 2024 budget to know whether it was anti-North or unfavorable of the North. It was Andy Ndume that first mentioned it. So what Ningi did was to confirm actually that thing happened and this was discovered. And but I want to add something. The role of the media in the journalism school, we call it EEI, which is educate, entertain, and inform. So I want to say, actually, there's nothing like budget padding.
So according to the Senate, you're telling us budget padding, there's
Sure,
not like padding.
this is what Obasanjo brought up when he was the president to deal with the members of the National Assembly then. The truth is that no budget can come back the way it was passed. No, no budget can come back to the executive the way it was passed. It is because it will be debated upon. Understand? Then it's either that the senators add or remove. And when the budget comes before the Senate, the senators will look at the budget. What are in this budget for me? What are in this budget for my interest? Because every senator there has interest. What took them to the National Assembly is their interest. What is in this budget for my interest? What in this budget for my constituency? If they look and there's nothing in the budget for their interest, they will say, I beg, just help me put this thing for my people. They will use that word, people, or for my constituency. But it is for their own interest, or the ministries or department that they are overseeing. Understand? So when that thing is added, the budget now goes up. So it is this addition that they now tagged padding. Understand me? So this thing that they call padding, just addition. Understand? Maybe adding that.
So we are saying the addition is a legal terminology amongst the senators. They can actually add as much as
They
want.
can add or they can remove.
But in this case, they've added. So we are saying they are
No, they will always add.
okay.
Because all of them have interest. All of them has ministries, departments, agencies that are lobbying them.
Okay.
We want a very big budget for our agency. We want a very big budget for our department, and you are going to get this.
So we are saying that the Senate president must have, in his own interest, added 4 trillion, according to the Northern Senators Forum.
Most of them try to add to the budget. Most of them try to add to the budget. But to show that they are just deceiving us, that's why they say Ningi should go on a 3-month suspension. But if he can write an apology,
they will consider it.
so which means if by Monday Ningi writes an apology,
He will
he'll be
return
back.
back.
Who is funding who?
Okay, and of course, Nick, talking about Senator Abdul Ningi has resigned his position as the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum. I said his resignation was necessitated by unfolding events in the National Assembly. And according to feelers and the body language, the Northern Senators Forum actually looked like they denied him. And of course, it showed that he was more like a tree in the forest, an island on his own, when he was making these allegations. Nick, what do you make of Senator Ningi's reaction to all of this?
It's very clearly understandable. If you are leading a group and then you get into this type of situation and that group doesn't stand behind you, then of course it's only honorable and also the right step to take to say you cannot lead that group again. And so I fully understand. I believe he has been disappointed. He would have thought that regardless of whether he took a wrong step or not, the people that he's leading in the Northern Senators Forum should have stood behind him. But right from when this became public news up to the debate that happened on the floor of the Senate, you will see that some of the people who attacked him the most were his colleagues in the Northern Senators Forum. And so I think he has taken the honorable path by stepping down and let them continue to sort themselves out in the Northern Senators Forum.
All right, let's go over to the next topic of the day, which definitely aligns with what we've been talking about as far as the Senate budget padding scandal, or will I say budget padding gate, as the case may be. The Senate was plunged into a rowdy session today as the point of order raised by the chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Olamilekan Adiola, was hijacked by an escalation by Senator Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe, representing Cross River North. And of course, the senator made some very interesting comments, which we'll like to quote him, but we do have a video of that session where Senator Jarigbe actually said some very, very interesting comments about how some senators got some largesse and he didn't get it. Also, of course, turned into a rowdy session. Of course, if we'll have that, and then we'll come back and look properly into these issues as matters arise as far as budget padding gate is concerned.
What I'm back on this of the budget and individual issues concerning what came to our various constituencies. If we want to go into those issues, all of us are culpable. Some senators here, so-called senior senators, got 500 million each. I am a ranking senator, I didn't get. Did I go to the press? Most of you got. And yes, if we want to go into those issues, excuse me, if we want to go into those issues, yes. So I think
All right, of course, that was Senator Jarigbe actually saying that the senior senators, in quotes, the senior senators, his senior colleagues, the ranking senators, which he says is one of them, but he did not get as much as the 500 million naira largesse that was shared amongst the high-ranking senators. Who are these high-ranking senators talked about by Jarigbe there?
Well, ranking senators are those who has come more than once.
They become elders in the council.
Yes, that's what they refer to as ranking senators. That's the more you come, the more you are
Your rank go higher.
Sure.
All right, Nick, I would like you to react to the allegations coming from Senator Jarigbe of Cross River North, saying that some high-ranking senators got 500 million. Is it more like if you're a high-ranking senator, you get to benefit even when it looks like it's a jamboree, everybody is sharing money here and there? 500 million to every Nigerian will go a long way, and one senator gets that just because he is a high-ranking member of the Senate.
Thank you very much. So these are the types of things that make it very distressing to watch. To believe in Nigeria is an article of faith. You have to have deep faith to believe in Nigeria, because when you look at those who are leading Nigeria at all levels, and you see the kind of things, the kind of revelations that happen when a small bit of their cupboard, not the full cupboard, just a little bit of their cupboard is opened, and you see the kind of things that fall out. You have to be a man of extreme faith, like some of us who still believe that Nigeria is going to stand and is going to survive all these locusts that are eating up the Commonwealth. The National Assembly is famous for things like this. You remember the saga of off the mic. It was the same thing.
The same Senate President Akpabio was in that situation.
Exactly. So it was he then accusing the senators of malpractice, and they were offering the mic today when Senator Jarigbe was on the floor and he started this 500 naira gate, 500 million naira gate. You can see that the senators acted like children. Instead of allowing their colleague, an honorable senator, to land his point, they went into a rowdy session and made it impossible for him to land his point. These are old men and women in that chambers. Some of them are 60, 70, 80 years, going into a rowdy session like school children. in a bid to prevent a colleague of theirs from making a statement which is to the benefit of Nigerians, so that we can get to know what these guys are doing with our money. You know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So for me, I would say this is shameful conduct by the senators. And the earlier we constitutionally we deal with the matter of the Senate of Nigeria. A lot of people have made recommendations in the past that the senator or Senate should be a part-time job where these guys can come and sit. And when they sit, they get sitting allowances. They should have no hand in the budget of Nigeria. They should not be both cars and SUVs and things like that. We have to make the job unattractive, so that it is only those who are interested in serving the people that will go there, and not this kind of people who are going there for the money. So for me, the senators should sit back today and watch what they did to the international community, and they should all feel ashamed of themselves that they conducted themselves like school children, in shutting up their colleague who was trying to make a point.
All right, over to Mr. Peter Anosike. If you take a look at his comment, he also said no senator has a right to accuse the senator, talking about Ningi, in his comment, meaning that it looks like it's more or less who gets more and who doesn't get is the one crying. Because Ningi also made mention of the fact that in that budget, his constituency only got 20 billion. Why some other constituency will get 120 billion? Was it because he was not part of those who knew where the 4 trillion in quotes and the billions were going? That is why they are angry, not because they are doing this in the interest of the country.
Well, the senators there are all self-serving. That's the truth. All of them are self-serving. And the Ningi belong to the Appropriation Committee, which is the most lucrative committee in the Senate. So, and as a very high-ranking senator, he is also among those that should be getting the highest cuts. Understand? So, I don't really know what. Maybe it could be because he's a member of the PDP, and not a member of the ruling party, the APC. Yeah. And for what the senator representing Cross River North said, two things could be responsible here, because one, maybe he has no email or he has not checked his email. Understand me?
So to check if the 500 million must have gotten to his email.
Yes, he should check if it's in his email. But the truth is that if he's in another country, with the situation of the country at this moment, the people will revolt.
There'll be a protest.
There will be a serious, because most Nigerians are going to bed without food, and senators are receiving 500 million for not doing anything. And Mr. Nick talked about part-time Senate. These people are already doing what they are doing is part-time. They are deceiving Nigerians. There are 365 days in a year. The Senate don't sit up to 200 times, which means it is half of the year, so it is part-time. So what they are just doing is deceiving Nigerians. They are part-time senators. They are not full-time. Full-time, it means that you have to be there all the time. But these people don't sit up to 200 days in a year. But for saying that the senator shouldn't have anything to do with the budget, then it will become more dangerous. Because it means that the executive will just be appropriating budget to themselves, which means the checks and balances wouldn't be there anymore.
Okay.
But this is going to be the most amateur Senate we've had since 1999. See how they are exposing themselves on a daily
You think,
basis.
what about the time we're changing Senate president just like we're changing clothes? Was it not more interesting?
There we are far, those senators, between 1999 and 2007 are more mature than what we are having now.
All right, and of course, in those times, there used to be fights and some bringing daggers to the Senate to stab each other. But they've not really got into that extent yet.
Now, imagine what the senators say, that when you people got 500 million, I did not get. Did I go to the press? What other press? You are talking to the world.
I think somehow they forgot that, of course, maybe the videos were available for the world to see. All right, in the related development, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently meeting behind closed doors with the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the Deputy Senate President, Barau Jibrin, and the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Senator Akpabio met with the President shortly after the nation's upper legislative chamber, otherwise called the Red Chamber, handed over a 3-month suspension to the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum, Abdul Ningi, representing Bochi Central Senatorial District. The agenda of the meeting was not made public at the time of filing this report, but it was reliably gathered that it was not unconnected with the suspension of the People's Democratic PDP senator over the comment credited to him that President Tinubu is implementing a different budget from what was presented to the National Assembly. All right, Nick, taking a look at this, it means that the president is definitely not happy and definitely wants to know what's going on, and maybe there will be some way of settling this as the case may be. And of course, the interest of the presidency definitely has to be put to the table. What do you think of this meeting behind closed doors between the president and the Senate president, as well as the deputy Senate president?
So the meeting is behind closed doors. We can only imagine or insinuate or think about what they are discussing. But of course, the events that happened at the chambers, the red chambers today, the Senate chambers, we indicate seriously that even if it is not the main purpose of the meeting, it is going to be discussed as an AOB in that meeting. And I mean, the president is in his right to meet with the legislative arm of government. The 3 arms of government, the executive, legislature, and judiciary, are not expected to be enemies. They are all expected to work in their own capacities for the benefit of Nigerians, and they are expected to act as checks and balances on each other, so that one is not carrying a sexy power. And I would like to also point out that my co-panelists say that I said the Senate should have nothing to do with the budget. No, that's not what I said. Maybe I didn't put it correctly. What I meant to say is that the Senate should have no hand in the execution of the budget, because now, as I tell you, I can tell you this as a matter of fact, as something I know. It's not as something someone told me. And I challenge the Senate of the Federal Republic that we can go to court. Let's go and address it there. If they think I'm not saying what I don't know, that the senators of Nigeria and the House of Rep members in Nigeria have their line items in the budget of Nigeria. And those line items are executed by the senators and the House of Rep members, and not the MDAs, under whose budget those line items appear.
So
everybody knows.
Nick, what you are telling us is that the Northern Senators Forum accusing the Senate president of including 4 trillion naira on his own interest is actually true.
It is going to be smoke. It's going to be smoke. When you see smoke, there's fire somewhere. I can assure you of that. So whilst I am not sure whether it is up to 4 trillion, I can tell you as a matter of fact and on good authority that the House of Rep members of Nigeria, let every Nigerian listening to me today know this. House of Rep members in Nigeria, senators in Nigeria have their budget line items in the budget of the ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government. And when it comes to the time to execute those line items, it is the senators and the House of Rep members that will send their contractors to those ministries, departments, and agencies of government to execute those things. That is what I said should not happen. But the Senate have a constitutional role to accept the appropriation bill from the president and scrutinize the appropriation bill and pass it for the president to assent to become the budget of the federation. I cannot say they shouldn't do that because it is their constitutional role. And of course, the Senate and the House of Rep members have oversight function over the MDAs. Again, that is their constitutional role. But they
All
are
right.
not executive arm of government. They
All
are
right.
not. So they shouldn't have this situation continue. And, I mentioned three arms of government: executive, legislature, and the judiciary. Those are the ones that are taught in school, in government and politics and all of that. There is a fourth arm of government, also constitutionally provided for, and that is the people arm of government, the citizen arm of government. This arm of government in Nigeria have been sleeping, while the other three arms of government are doing as they like. In democracies that are functioning, these four arms of government are in collaboration. They are all acting as checks and balances on each other. And if Nigerians want to enjoy democracy, we must activate the fourth arm of government. And this fourth arm of government has powers, has duties and responsibilities that are stated in the Constitution. And it's not just about election. Look, like what happened today. If Nigerians are not happy about what happened today on the chambers at the chambers of the Senate, we can begin the recall process for the 109 senators in Nigeria. And that is going to send a very powerful message.
All right.
Even if the recall process does not succeed, the senators of Nigeria will know that, oh, we have people here who have powers over us. They can actually terminate our appointment as senators and bring us home. The earlier this fourth arm of government begins to function in Nigeria, the better for all of us.
All right, and of course, the fourth realm of the estate will wait for that day to happen. Of course, until then, we'll continue to be at the mercy of the senators. All right, moving on, there are reports that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the ex-Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari, and Senator Abdul Ningi have initiated the move to form a mega party ahead of the 2027 general elections. You recall that Atiku, who was the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in 2023, lost the election to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yari also lost his bid to become the Senate president to Godswill Akpabio, who was preferred by Tinubu. And according to sources, Atiku has set in motion the machinery for the proposed mega party in collaboration with some members of the National Assembly. The source said Atiku and his allies are mulling the repeat of the 2013 scenario, which saw the merger between Muhammadu Buhari's Congress for Progressive Change (CPC), Tinubu's Action Congress of Nigeria, and the All Nigerian People's Party and the faction of the All Progressive Grand Alliance (APGA) to form a mega party. And the source said they have gone far in their arrangement as they believe that the country is in the same situation as it was in 2014 during the Goodluck Jonathan's era. Hence, their decision to form a mega party to wrestle power from Tinubu's government. Another senator has alleged that there is a fresh plot to destabilize Tinubu's government in order to return power to the North in 2027. And speaking under the condition of anonymity, the senator alleged that the majority of those in opposition are from the Northeast and the Northwest, but were not allowed to be the leaders of the opposition in the Senate. But the former vice president has rubbish report claiming he is set to dump the PDP ahead of the 2027 election. However, Atiku, in a personally signed statement today via his account on the X platform, he said the reports are pure lies which should be disregarded by Nigerians. Mr. Peter Nonsike, taking a look at this story, some have said there's no smoke if there's no fire. But if you take a look at it, a mega party issue, they've been talk about mega party. Are we going to have a situation where eventually there will be a mega party?
Well, the possibility of a mega party is there.
Okay.
Because that is the only way to defeat APC. Because Bola Ahmed Tinubu has put INEC in his pocket. Understand? So, and for him to be pushed out, he has to be through. That's a consensus. Understand? A measure. But before Atiku denied this statement, I first saw it in the Nation newspaper. And when I saw it, I said that it is not true because I cannot believe whatever Nation newspaper writes. Understand me?
Okay.
There's nothing that I will see on Nation newspaper that I will put 1 naira.
Can you tell us why?
It is that's. I'm a journalist for more than 25 years.
Okay.
We know ourselves. Understand me?
Okay.
Let me give you a practical example. When Kayode was contesting for his second term in Ekiti State, then the Igbos in Ekiti held a meeting and decided that they will vote for the best candidate in Ekiti. Understand? So they gave me this story to give in 5 different newspapers. I was an editor with the Sun newspaper then. So I wrote, Igbos in Ekiti will vote for the best candidate. I gave it to somebody in Nation. The story came out, Igbos in Ekiti adopt Fayemi. Understand me?
Since then you lost the trust
So
for the Nation newspaper.
they just changed everything. Understand me? So they are not great. They are as dirty as Muhammad of the.
What if there was a type of graphical error?
It's
What if-
not. It's not. It's
Or
not.
somebody made
No,
a
no,
mistake.
no. It's not.
Okay.
So I think this can never be true.
Okay.
But Nigeria is in their need of a change. If this thing continues this way, we will be Somalia Republic will be better than us in the next 2 years.
Very, very
Understand me?
Yeah.
So there's a need for an alternative. Nigeria cannot continue this way.
So that means PDP is not enough to wrestle the power.
No,
from
just
APC.
like CPC or ACN wasn't enough in 2014.
All right.
So there must be a mega.
Party.
That's parties must merge to become stronger.
All right, and Nick, we are pressed for time, but we'd like to have you comment on this, talking about the ex-vice president coming out to deny it. Mr. Peter Anosike has ever said that there's a need for mega party, but with what Atiku has done to deny this, he did same. Back then, he was a PDP member, but he joined the APC, and we know how his antecedents are. Are we going to stand with his comment and believe that he's not part of the plan to have a mega party?
Well, we cannot take him for his words.
Okay.
Only time will tell. Because like you rightly said, it's not as if he has not jumped ship before. He has done so in the past. And his antecedents, therefore, point him as someone who is capable of leaving a party to join another party. And then, of course, the issue of the mega party, you listed all of the groups that came together to form the APC. You missed out some elements of the PDP, including some of the PDP governors that also joined them. And that is how the APC became a mega party to defeat the incumbent. And so if other parties in Nigeria want to come together to form such a mega party, this is democracy. They have the right to do so. Nigeria belongs to all of us, and there's no political office that is the birthright of anybody. And if anybody is able to come together in a coalition, exercising their freedom of association under the Constitution, granted under the Constitution, to form a party, to take over power from anybody in a legitimate way, by all means, they should go ahead and do that. But I think Atiku Abubakar needs to try to, step down his ambition to be president, because perhaps President Tinubu will not be president today if Atiku Abubakar didn't want to contest for presidency in the PDP and allow someone like Peter Obi to be the presidential candidate of the PDP. But he wanted to be president, and his eyes seem to be still fixated on being president in 2027. And I can see that coalition is not going to work if Atiku Abubakar does not sacrifice his ambition.
All right, we're pressed for time. I'm sorry, just about when the conversation gets more interesting, we just have to call it a day on Political Roundup. I want to say big thanks to Nick for being a part of the show. You've been wonderful with us on Political Roundup on Voice of the People.
Thank you very much. And Nigerians, I know the cost of living is so high, but let's keep hope alive and let's just keep pressing our leaders for better governance.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. All right, Mr. Peter Anosike, your parting shot.
Well, as Mr. Nick said, we need to endure. That's a short-term pain for a long-term gain.
Okay, you're borrowing the words of talking about our president, Tinubu. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Peter Anosike, for joining us as well. And of course, big thanks to all those who joined us on the show this evening. And of course, this is where we'll draw the curtain on Political Roundup. And do same to join us same time tomorrow on our YouTube channel at Voice of the People TV. Also do well to follow us on all other social media platforms on at VOP TV Live. I am Jerry Akpabio. Good evening.